So today I just want to sort of talk a little bit about the initiative for mission statistics collection, how that went in 2014, what changes we've made for 2015, and also a very often requested topic is how do I take my existing data and import it in here. And I'll be addressing those as well as some other functional items, including some search collaboration tools that I've just started to look at, and let's just get dug in. Well, for 2014, I'm going to pull up a dashboard view. For 2014, we had the highest collection of mission statistics that the MRA's seen before. Previously, we've collected all these via Excel spreadsheets, and now since we've been doing this spatially and actually adding where the missions are, we've got a much better adoption. It's also been easier for people to enter the missions as they go along, where they can just enter them into a form or directly onto a map rather than having to manipulate lots of Excel sheets. Also works nicely for the data aggregators. They don't have to get 80 different spreadsheets in from different teams and try copy-pasting all that data together. So this is a much more uniform approach to data collection. But as you see, we got 1,387 missions submitted for 2014. We know that's not everybody's missions. I know firsthand of some teams that haven't got submissions in that might have had some substantial years. But still, this is a really good start. And looking at this dashboard here, I said the top it gives us the total missions. Down the bottom here is breaking them out by categories, so the hiking versus the others versus walkaways, etc. Obviously, hiking here is a very high number. This is an interactive dashboard. I mean, we can click on these bars down here and actually sort of zoom into areas of interest. If my internet's a little slow, I'm obviously broadcasting from a hotel room today, so I'm relying on hotel internet. On the right side here, we can see different missions that were entered, and this is just sort of keeping track of the last ones that were entered. And we can drill in, we can get information for any of these. Then we've got some queries down here which we've defined for rescue injuries, fatalities, subjects that we're unable to locate. We always want to see that one as a zero number. But this is an interactive dashboard that we can use and can be customized to your area as well. So if you want to have a dashboard just like this for your team, you can absolutely do so and limit the results just to your team, and then you can use this for your own advertising or fundraising efforts to show what an active team you are and how engaged you are with the donations and any other support that you're receiving. I'll just sort of step back to the main homepage here. So I'm logged in to the homepage, and everybody within the Mountain Rescue Association should have a login account to this organization. Monty Bell is the administrator of the organization and makes sure that people can log in and does the password resets and those sort of things. I'm actually logged in with a training account today, and this just gives me the same access as any user would have who's connecting to this. So what we've did for this year is we've gone through and just sort of branded the different products here on the home screen. And I've made a 2015 on the top of these maps, apps. And as we scroll through some of these, you'll see as 2014, so you can still go back and look at the old information. And this is just an easy way for me to identify that this is 2014 mission entries, and this is obviously a 2015 mission entries. So the idea is that you come into, you log in, and we're going to open up one of the forms and input your mission stats for the active mission you just completed. What's changed this year is we're going to track both where that mission started from, and in the event of a rescue, that's going to be started and end. But in the event of a search, we're going to actually put in a found location as well. So this is going to enable people that are doing some research on initial planning points and point last seen versus a found location, and we'll actually be able to give this data over to those folks so they can do some analysis on it. So that's something new that we're trying this year, and hopefully that'll be successful. So when you come in, so you can click on any of these, and what we're actually looking for first is we want the mission collection form. So I pop that open right here, whoops, right here, and quite simple. It's the mission entry form. We're going to put in a mission number or name, and there's been a lot of confusion about mission numbers and mission names, and what if two teams respond to the same incident, what incident number we use. Monty's been addressing some of those issues, and he's really the administrator of this, and I'm just more the technical arm putting it together. But essentially what we want in here for tracking the found locations and the mission numbers is a unique mission number. So whatever your team uses as a mission number, a suggestion for me would just be to maybe put the team's initials in front of that incident number. So if I was putting one in today for Sierra Madre, I might start off and put SM-2115 and 308, whatever the date is, as your mission number. That's just one suggestion. Previously, this field was integer only, so you could only have numbers in it, and we have changed that to allow text, so you can put things like SM- in front of there where it didn't allow you before. Mission types, this has been cleaned up a little from the previous 2014. There's a different set of criteria in here than we had before, that we had some confusion before. I think these are a little bit cleaner to understand what's going on, and categorizes them pretty well. So we can just choose a cave rescue search. If Art's on the call, he'll appreciate that. And then for team, we've got all the teams in here, and just as we were before, you can just start typing a team name, and it'll pull the team name in for you. As new teams join the MRA, we'll just update this list. So then we have a date incident started, and that's easy pop down. So you have a date, and then there's a little clock at the bottom for time, and you can, if you're going to put the time in there, you can make that accurate as what time it was. In county, basically, was that mission within your county, or was it outside your county and you were responding for a mutual aid response? So this was in my county. The number of personnel, this is the total number of personnel for my team. If it was a mutual aid and there were 60 people on the mutual aid call, but 5 from my team went, this is what we're tracking, is stats from my team. So as other teams enter the incident, that'll be aggregated. The total hours, that's pretty simple really. It's the hours that you were there times the number of team members. We'll just stick in a wild value. The number of subjects that you're actually either rescued or looking for. And then we have categories down here for subjects. So we've allowed for up to 5 subjects to be input into the system. If there are additional subjects that were involved in that search, recently I know there was a search in the Angeles Forest for 8 hikers, so that would exceed this number. We can just put those in the comments. So this is pretty straightforward. Gender, age, we went away from the drop-down in age. We did have these categorized in age categories, and we've gone away from that approach and just asked for the actual subject's age. The subject's fitness, now obviously this is an approximate. Just if you don't know, you don't know. That's absolutely fine. But if you do know or have an idea of their fitness, and obviously this is very subjective, your idea of excellent fitness versus someone else's idea of excellent fitness may vary. But we're just trying to capture this information so we can provide it to those doing some other analysis. And their experience. So you may not know this, and again, experience is subjective. Sometimes if they carry a flashlight, they're considered experienced. So we can just make a subjective guess to that, and then you can go ahead and fill in for each of the different subjects involved, and say we've allowed room here up to 5. If there's additional, you can put those in the comments. The category of activity. So we've got some new ones in here, and I think we've clarified some of these. That these had a lot of questions last year, and Monty took a lot of that feedback and created some new lists here. There's a lot of different categories in here to choose from. We'll just make this a straightforward hiker. The area type, so this might be important for capturing, was it an urban search or was it a true wilderness event? The land ownership, if known. This is all good data to capture. Sometimes you may not know this. You can just leave it blank, or we can figure out what it was. It was a BLM property. And the initial planning points of this is a text field. So this could be in the parking lot or staged at the old rescue station or whatever that was. There's some other new categories here, some new fields to fill in, including mental factor. So maybe there was no mental factor involved in this other than stupidity, which we don't have in the drop-down list. But you've got Alzheimer's, intellectual disability, mental illness, substance intoxication. That's a pretty common one. So if you know that, fill that in. And if there's a mental rating on that, again, subjective, and I'm just going to choose normal. How we found them. So was it found located from a ground pounder? Was it an aircraft? Was it an investigative team? Were they sitting at home watching TV and they just forgot to call their folks in? But we got a cave rescue, so let's say the cave team did a good job and got in there. The number of subjects found well, so not injured, in good condition, found them well. The number dead on arrival, so we'll just put 1 in here. The number injured, and at some point we may add some additional information there to capture type of injury, severity of injury. There's been some requests for that, so at some point in time we might add those to the form. The number not found, so ideally that's not filled in or 0. And if there's an injury, we've got some basic stuff here: BLS, ALS, or fatal. So we can just say it was a quick BLS call. One you never want to, you never want to have to put anything in here for a rescue or injury. Hopefully everyone stays safe. And lastly, we've just got some aircraft information. Did we use an aircraft on this? Yes or no? If we did, I get 3 options, so I can put in, yes, we used a helicopter. Potentially, people might start using some UAVs, so we included that in the drop-down, or possibly fixed-wing assets. And then there's a space here for commentary up to 500 characters where you can add comments regarding this. And this would just be good to capture for your own use as well, so that later on you can go back and actually do an after-action review, and we could use some of this data. So where was it? This is how we sort out where the location was. And we've got some options here. We can just type in an address or a place name. We've got lat long, where you can actually put the lat long in here if known. Or you can use USNG. Or you can actually put in the UTM, and you would type in the UTM with the zone and hit set location. It would bring you to that. We can also just use the map. It's an interactive map right here, and you can zoom into your area of interest. And for this particular one, I'm just going to stick an incident in the middle of the ocean, and that's just for the purpose that I know I can just go back and delete it later, so I can just click in the middle of the ocean. And I'll put my my incident point out there. So we have an ocean cave rescue going on. And then once you're done, you just simply hit submit entry. And that will add the mission to our data collection and prompt you to put another one in. So now you can just hit close and just repopulate the information. And so that's as simple as it is to put that information into the system. So actually, we'll take a look now at where so we have some dashboards. Here's a dashboard with a mission right in the middle of the ocean right here. And you'll see this is the mission that I just entered. And I can click on the show pop-up, and I can get pretty comprehensive pop-up of all the data that I entered. So it's very quick. It's almost instant once you put it to the data collection. Just for my ease here, I'm just going to take this mission number and just copy it. Because we went in there, if this was a search and now we want to sort out where the found location is, the other form I can choose from the main page there is a subject found form. And the important thing on the subject found is that mission number. This is what's going to tie the two together, so that later on when analysis is being done, we know which found location is associated to which search mission. So this must be identical for this to be useful. The only way of doing it right now is just to type it in there and just make sure it's the same. It's not doing a match in the background. So this was, we could, obviously there could be multiple subjects, so we had space for 5. So which subject is this that I found? So I found subject 1, a verbal description of the location. So it could be, deep in the cave. The date that they were found. The detectability type. Were they responsive? Were they unresponsive? Were they mobile? Were they walking around, or were they just sitting under a tree waiting for someone to get them? Were they signaling? So were they using any kind of tool to signal? Were they yelling or shouting? Did they use a PLB? Did they use a cell phone? Did they use a spot device? Any way that they were trying to communicate to get themselves noticed, their detectability. And then some comments about this particular one as well. Again, we've allowed 500 characters for this. And now we can come in and enter a found location, and you can move that anywhere you want. You've got exactly the same options. You could type in the pointer place, lat long, USNG, UTM. I did mention earlier there is a locate me, which will use your local device to try and locate you. So if you're in the field entering this and you're using an iPad or an Android device and you've got GPS enabled, if you hit locate me and you're going to type it while you're running radios in CP and you're waiting for the folks in the field to get done with their assignment and you've got a minute, you can enter this right from a web browser right in your mobile device, and you can use the locate me. And again, just submit my entry, and that will be to the form. And that'll come up on the map. I think I've got. I have to turn on. I have to turn on the layer for found. It's not on this map. We'll go into another map, and I'll show you that in a second. We're just sort of getting through the building out. We're a little late in the year getting this done, but we did redefine all the fields and the collection types. So there's a little bit more work. So if I go to my groups, when you log in, this is your sort of standard view when you log in, and you've got a menu set across the top, and we have groups across the top. One of the groups everybody here has access to is the mission collection. And if you open that group up, this is another way to see all the different products, maps, and apps for you to see your data and work with all the MRA data. So again, at 2014 and 2015, and I can go into the 2015 Mission Viewer application, and I've got some other dashboards which we're working on developing. So let's just take a look at the Mission Viewer. So I can probably open up a couple of different ones when we're in here. It's the Mission app. And you can just load these straight up in any web browser. You can also open these up on any mobile device too. Just let this load. Again, apologize for my internet in a hotel right now. While these are loading, I'm going to show you some other ways of getting to your data. People have been wanting to be able to download all the data in here easily into Spreadsheet. So I've actually added an open data portal to the site to allow that to be done more easily. Since this web map is opened up, let's take a quick look through this app. So in this app, I've got a menu in here. I've got a home bar that'll zoom into your location. We've got a legend, and we've got layers. So in this one, let's just turn on found location, and you'll see the found location that I entered from that geoform. In the dashboard, I just didn't have that layer added, which I will do. If I click on the initial planning point, again, you see the pop-up with all the information in it, how many personnel, how many hours it was, all the information associated with it. And then on my found location, because I did use that same mission number right here, I didn't put in that it was a cave rescue. It pulled that information from the initial planning point. Same as all this other information here came in from the initial planning point. So we're actually tying the two together informationally using this mission number. So that's why it is very important that you do this. And now we should be able to be capturing found locations and point locations. So I think we're going to end up with a much richer data collection. As far as base maps, so if you want to zoom into an area and change the base maps, we won't zoom into the ocean because it's not very interesting. But let me just, the tighter I zoom, the less data I have to draw, I think. So we'll just zoom into an area at random that has a mission on it. Let's see whose that is. I'm almost frightened to change the base maps with my internet right now. Let's see whose that point was. And then you've got all these base maps on the side, imagery, so you can pull in the latest imagery with labels, streets, topo, Nat Geo, etc. And then there's the good old US topo from the USGS map. So if we wanted to change that, we could just click here, and it would change that and bring that layer in as you'd expect, and you can use it with a USGS look and feel. So these are all available just to switch between. Other items we have up, here's an overview map. So if I wanted to zoom out and more easily better figure out where I am, I can use the overview map, and that'll send to my main screen map. I've got some measuring tools, so if I want to measure area size, if I want a distance measurement, I can do that, and I can do that right on the screen. My base map's just taking this time drawing here. I think I might switch back to something a little less intensive to draw. This is an editing application, so if you wanted to edit and actually enter your mission data right from here, right directly to the map, rather than going through the form, you can absolutely do so. So when you log in, you're authenticating yourself to the group, so we know who you are and the system knows who you are. And when you click on Edit, I can now choose my mission point right here, and I can click on anywhere on the map and add that mission point directly here and fill out the attributes in this manner through a pop-up window. You get exactly the same pop-up, so we can do type and team, date, etc. Very similar experience. But we don't have the map here because obviously we've already put the point on the map. The very important, again, is to make sure you've got mission number in here. And then you could go ahead and put your found location right in here as well. And again, we just make sure the mission numbers are the same so that we can tie those two together. If I stop editing, you'll get a cleaner view of the pop-up menu. So that, again, it pulled that search type in, and any other information from the mission, it'll add right in here. But if you notice at the bottom, it says edited by, and this is my MRA training account, and it says seconds ago. As it ages, it'll actually put the date in there, the date and time this was edited. So you only have the ability to edit and manipulate mission entries that you have put into the system, not anybody else's. So if someone tried to edit my MRA information right here, they can't do it because they're not logged in as me. So we're restricting that. The only people that can edit data in here are the people that input it. So that just assures that, you know, the integrity of your data. If I go right back into edit mode, I can click on these, and I can come in and just delete these out, which because I don't need these. So that's another way that you can easily put data into the collection, and add your missions is right through the web map. And you can use this web map. You can put bookmarks in here. So this one's just got a US bookmark, but we'll flesh that out with bookmarks for each of the MRA regions so that you can easily navigate. I alluded to the open data. Right on the very front page here, export data using the MRA Open Data Portal. So you can click right here to launch the Open Data Portal, and what this will enable you to do is to harvest all the data that's been input and pull it down into easily used file formats for your use. So we've added a few items to the Open Data Portal. So we've got the missions, we've got the MRA teams. So if you wanted to pull down a data set showing all the teams in the MRA and their locations, you can absolutely do that. And we can just click on these. As you click on the missions, you're going to see a representation of those missions up here. Here's the one that I just entered a minute ago, and it gives you the incident when I hover over it. But I can use this to limit my results. So if I don't want the data for everywhere, I can zoom in, and as I zoom in, it'll filter it. So I'll view the table in the middle, and this is showing you all the information that's currently in here. And as I zoom in, it'll actually start to limit the data sets. You'll see I'm now only showing 24 of 35. So it's actually geographically limiting what my download is going to be. So if I only wanted these information for these teams at Las Vegas, that's all I'm showing right here. If I wanted to zoom back out again and show everything for the entire US, I can easily select that just by using the map and interactively doing so. You can also change your map style up here to satellite. I'm not going to do so based upon my internet performance. Or you can just remove all the filters on the right and just download everything. So when you've sort of made your selection, you can now just click Download Dataset, and it gives you the option of pulling it in, shapefile for those programmers and developers out there, an API. You can do a KML or simply a spreadsheet, and you can just click here, and it'll just download the spreadsheet up that data to your machine, and you can use that. This is open data for use by all MRA teams. If we open this up, this is a CSV file, and this is what we just downloaded, which is all the data in the schema that's being used. So that's now a very easy way for you to go in there, grab the data, and use it for your own benefit. So it's not going into a black hole. It's actually yours to use and manipulate. I'll go back to the home screen here. Here's one with a little camera on it, videos, ArcGIS Online videos. So I put together a series of training videos. They're hosted up on YouTube. And if you click on this, there'll be a lot of information there on how to customize this application for your own team. So how do you add your own data sets to it, your own points of interest, those sort of things for your team, filter and apply a filter to the data so you're only seeing yours and not every team's, and zoom down. And there's a whole series of how-to videos on how to go about doing that. If there are other requests for additional videos, or one of them isn't quite clear, or I seem to be missing a step, please do let me know. I'll be more than happy to create additional training videos on how to do that. And obviously we just found I need to add a layer to this one right here to add the fountain to the dashboard. But this is another version of the dashboard. The dashboard I showed you earlier for 2014, this is driven from an application which actually sits on my local computer, which is a Windows-based machine. But what if I want to see this in a web browser? What if I want to see something like this when I go and present to my sheriff's department, or I'm going to go to a PR event and I want to bring something along to show people, and I want to access it from a web browser. So I've built some web browser versions of this. As you see, it's just a URL that I'm opening in a web browser, and it gives you much of the same functionality. So we've had 17 rescues, 12 searches, 2 recoveries, etc. And again, you can customize this for your own team. And you can use exactly the same sort of functionality here. I can click on the latest missions that were added, see where they are, pull those up. And so you can brand this to your team. You can add your team logo to this. And I have steps, again, on those videos of how to do this. And maybe we can do another webinar where I actually go through the steps and do that if that would be helpful. This is another app we've got, which we're going to build out for showing all the mission stats as well. This is the mission viewer, and I'll be able to go in here and show different layers of data, and we're going to build this one out into the 2015, so that'll be another easy view into your data and how you will be able to customize it for yourself or just view everything collected by the MRA. So let's talk a little bit about the schemas. This is, I've had a lot of questions on schema. How do we import? How does that work? So I just put together a package which I believe Monty is going to send to the MRA lister so that everybody has access to this. But I put together a Microsoft Word document showing all the fields which we have in there. What type of a field is it? Is it a string field or a number field? How much space has it got? So most of these are length of 50. And what drop-down menu associated with it. So what are the different various attributes that need to be reported up to keep the data consistent within the MRA's data collection. So this lists all of those fields. And that was for the missions table. At the bottom, this is for the founds table. So these are all the same field lengths and drop-down menus that we want for collecting the found data. And there's a note in here that the related values tables use mission number, this one right here, and the mission and the found number must be the same if this data is going to be valuable. And for a datum, just use WGS84 or NAT83. Within close enough to each other so that we can use either one of these, and in geographic format, and that will just keep everything consistent. We can read all sorts of different formats of lat long, but essentially we just want lat long in one of those. So then the drop downs, Monty put a list together of all the different drop downs. So as you saw from the Microsoft Word in here, we've got drop-down 11. If you look up drop-down 11, in here we can see what's associated with drop-down 11. So to keep the data consistent and more useful when analytics are done, we really want to adhere to these types of drop-downs. So when you submit data in a CSV file format for upload, it matches these specifications. We just downloaded all this data, so that actually gives you the schema right across the top here. I did just clean one out and just left one mission in from Tacoma. Had one there which they had nicely completed, so I left it in as an example. But this shows sort of how we want the data sent to us. So if you have 10 missions and you're looking to mass upload those, send them to us in this sort of a format or export it from your database. But this is the kind of data we're looking for, and the format in this schema, so in this field order, so that I can match it up and they can be input. This is really useful if you're a very busy team and have a lot of operations. If you're a team that runs 80, 100, 120 ops a year, and you're going to be batch putting in 20, 25 ops, this is a good method. If your team doesn't do that many ops, one a month or something, I think the geo form, just entering it via the form, is honestly the easiest way just to put the data in. Is just to go straight to the form, fill it in, put the point, and hit submit, and it's done. And as I mentioned, you can do that also in the field right off a mobile device. So this is that package I'll be sending out, and I've put all these in PDF forms as a subject found, the mission entry form, the field mapper, and the drop-down list. So we'll make all these available so that folks who are managing their own database systems can just do an export, match up the criteria we're looking for, send me a sheet, and I'll probably find a better location to be submitted rather than email, maybe use a Dropbox location or something where you can put data, and then we'll just add it to the mission collection, and hopefully we'll end up with a much even better mission collection than last year. Although I have to say right now we're only at 30-something, so we're not looking super strong. Those was the sort of core elements that I was going to talk about today. It seems like I've talked through it rather quickly. At this time I would really me just talking, I would really rather answer a few questions and talk a little bit more about the missions. And then lastly, before we wrap up, I'm just going to show you a work in progress of how to do some online search management so that you can easily use the online tools to collaborate on a search and quickly get up and running with some search management. So I'd be more than happy to answer some questions for a few minutes now just about the mission collection.
Okay. So some of these you may have already answered throughout your presentation, but it doesn't hurt to go over everything again. So the first question is, where do I find links to my already entered missions to make updates or corrections?
So the easiest place there is just to use the map, or you could use a dashboard to locate them. If we go back into this editor map here, I can just zoom into my area of interest. And remember, you're only going to be able to edit your own missions. So actually, I should probably go edit this one in the ocean because I know I'm going to have rights to it. You're just going to click the edit button, click on the point, and it'll come right up here, and I can now go ahead and say I made a mistake, and that wasn't just 5 people missing, it was 6. And then just close that up, and you'll be all set to go. So that's how you can edit missions that you've already put in.
Okay, great. And the next question is, how can individual teams embed the map or a portion of the map for their own website?
Oh, that's actually a great question, and something we can easily do. So there's share tools which we can make right from the app, but sometimes you don't want to share the app. I actually have a video on how to do this as well, which is there. But let's just sort of go through the process. If I come into my collections, what I'm going to look for here is a web map, web app. Give this a second. So here's our 2015 missions web map. Now there's web maps and there's web apps, and again I've explained some of it in my how-to videos. The maps are where you can make the map your own. You can filter it and do all those. Then the apps are sort of a content delivery. So I just click on this and open up the web map. Again, this might take a second on my machine, but there's iframe share code built right into the web map, which gives you some really interesting functionality, and we'll walk through exactly how to do that right now. So now this is loaded up. I can click on the share button, and right in share, who are we going to share this with? And this one's, we'll share it with everyone. And we've got an embed in website button. If I click that, this is my iframe code right here. But what's really nice is I can customize the size of it, so I could do a small, medium, large, or put in some custom height and width. And then on my mapping options, so if you take a look down here right now, I've got a blank map but with a zoom button on it. If you want people to be able to change the base maps and provide that functionality, you can just check the button and you'll see it's added like a base map widget to that screen, and it's changed the embed code. If I want to allow them to have a home button, maybe a search button so they can search different locations, and even a legend, I can add that to this as well, all within the embed code. I can just click on this and copy. And let's just open Notepad. So I can paste that code now into my website, or you can send it off to your web developer to put it in their website. Just for a quick test right here, I'm just going to do save as, and this is just Notepad, and it'll be MRA.html, and I'll save that to my desktop. If I now just go to my desktop and find MRA.html, if I open that up, it'll pull that embed code and embed the map right onto my screen, pull it right in real time, and this is a live map. So as missions are entered in here, it'll be absolutely pulled in. And now, because I chose to have the ability to give it a base map selector, here's my base maps, which I've just done. We also wanted to give the ability to have a legend, so you could have turned that on and off in your embed code, and a search location. So using the embed code is pretty powerful. So if you've taken the map, taken the MRA map, followed the steps to save it as your own team map, and now you've got it customized, you've changed symbology, you've added different layers, you've added areas of interest. However you want to customize the map yourself, you can now click that Embed in Website button, have that code generated for you, and that's all done for you. So I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, I think that answered the question. The next question is any of this cross-linked to Mission Manager, MapSR, or similar programs?
No, nothing is cross-linked at this time. This is a discrete data collection. MapSR, and I can show that in a minute, where I'm looking to provide some online functionality to actually use for some search management or some incident management in here. But it's not pulling data directly from any of those into this program.
Okay. The next question is, do the drop-downs in the form support multiple selections?
No, the drop-downs are a single selection. This is the drop-down list that was provided by the MRA, and that's the one we're using, and so there are no selections. It's not going to be a medical aid and a flood. It's you choose one of each.
Okay. I think you answered this one fairly well, but can you upload files to the mission entry?
Yes, I'm thinking you're talking about attachments rather than files. So if you have a photograph or an after-action view or something that you want to put in, you can absolutely do that. If I was to add a mission over here, right down the bottom here, there's a Add Choose File option, and I may not have enabled it on the form, and I'll make sure to check that momentarily. But you can click Choose File. So if I wanted to choose a photograph, or if I would have an after-action review, a PDF, etc., you can actually attach it to the mission point. So later on, if you're coming back to it, you've got an idea, you've got a map, you've got some information associated with it. So I think that was the question. Rather than mission uploads, it was can I add attachment to? So.
Okay, and then kind of a follow-up to that question is, can those files be locked to be viewed by only the entering team?
They're not viewed by only the entering team. No, the entering team is the only ones available to edit the data, but this is data across the whole MRA. It's an open view of everybody's data. So no, we are not filtering that on these main maps to only a particular, to exclusively for one team. Now you can make your own maps and customize them, as I've mentioned. As I have videos here to show you how to do it. I'll see if I can open up a video screen while we wait and talk. Exactly how to do that, and then you would only see your team's data, but the idea is it's an open data collection.
Okay, and then looks like the last question is, can you provide a list of quick links to the main resources, like the spreadsheet in the correct schema, to make them easy to find?
Yep, absolutely, we can do that. That's a good idea. I can make a little gallery there so that we can download them from a central source and put everything together rather than having to just go through your email. Absolutely good idea. So this is, I clicked on the Mountain Rescue online videos. So these are all the videos I've put together, to 12 so far. Everything from basic entry that we covered today, going through the geo form, through to entering missions using the maps, and actually going through and customizing it. So here's customizing and making your own web map, part 1, part 2, exporting data, the operations dashboard, and how it all works. So there's several in here. If we get additional requests, and it's often asked for, I'll be more than happy to put some videos together to help with adoption of this.
Okay, great. And that's all the questions we have. So did you have anything else you wanted to go over?
Absolutely. So let's say we have a search, and it needs to get up and running quickly with a web view. And this is not a super comprehensive view at this time. It's just something pretty quick that we're just putting together. Here's the idea would be, if I'm actually out in the desert right now in the middle of Palm Springs, but if my team had a search and they were putting a map together locally in the area, and they were like, well, John knows that area really, really well. I want to show him what we're doing and talk to him, and we can interact on a map, and maybe he can put some assignments in there for me. Or maybe we're driving hours to another location, and we want to start building assignments. We can do that as well. So use this more as a concept than a finished product. What I'm going to do is I'm in my content, and I'm going to go to Create and a feature layer. And I'm going to choose an existing feature layer, and I'm going to select it from my organization. So I have a feature layer in here that I called Maps Are Online. And it's got some of the same familiar layers to it, initial planning points, subject, found, incidents, etc., that Maps Are has, but very, very slimmed down at this point. Click Next, and it'll ask me what's my extent that I want to zoom to. I could use the whole U.S., but it's always better just to make it as fine as possible. So let's just sort of zoom right into the mountains right here. Click Next, name it. I search for John, and done. And what it's going to do now is we're going to take the schema and all the symbols and attributes which have been put together in that particular feature layer and create a brand new fresh one for us to use for search management. So this does take just a couple seconds there to actually come through and load, but this is taking you through and showing you all the different layers that we have available to us here. Then I can simply add to a new map, and it will zoom into my area of interest. And on my contents, I just click on details. Here's my IPP, my subject found, my incident assets, etc. associated with this. This symbology is just default out of the box as I was sort of playing with this. We'll definitely need to clean this up so that things like the incident assets ICP looks like an ICP, and clues have got a good clue symbol, and staging looks right, and those sort of things. But what I can do now is I can come into my area of interest, so let's just zoom in nice and close. And I can click Edit, and I've got anything that I've got checked, I'll be able to edit. So let's uncheck clues and assignments, and just uncheck some of these. And when I click Edit, I'll just get the ones that were checked to draw. So these are my search segments. So I can click right in here, and I can start now to build some search segments. And I've got some attributes like area name, description, has it been searched previously, what's the status of it, has it been searched, has it not been searched, is it in progress, etc. So we could easily now just draw in search segments. And remember, this is a web map. So because it's a web map, I have the ability to share this. And I have the ability to share it with my team, with other teams for mutual aid, or anybody. And you have at some length here, especially for a quick operation, security by obscurity. So you see this long URL code at the top. That's not something that someone's easily going to think of and remember to type in. So I could actually share this map publicly, but send that URL just to an exclusive group of people who need access here, and it's relatively secure for the time, most of the incidents. If I uncheck this and I turn my assignments on, you'll see that my segments went away. I've got assignments, so I could draw assignments. If I wanted to put my IPP in, I can go ahead and put the point last seen. It was last seen up here in a campsite maybe. And you've got all this information you can put in here, name, gender, etc., etc. And I've not something, Jessica, can we share out a link live to the participants or not at this time?
Yeah, you can. In the chat section of your control panel, you can type it in there or paste it there, And then make sure you have the selection as all entire audience.
Gosh, that sounds very, very complicated to me. Let's have a look. So just as an example, I'm just going to save this, and I'm going to save it in this area, and I'm just going to turn on these two layers. I'm going to click Share, and I'm going to make it public. And click. Right here is my bit.ly link, which is the easy link to get to this. Done. So let me see if I can do this. I need to go into Sorry, can you guide me again, Jessica?
Oh, yeah, no problem. Go into your chat window.
Yeah.
And then paste the URL in the message area.
Yeah.
And then in the drop-down next to the send button, make sure it says all entire audience.
I've got organizers and panelists, meeting organizer, send questions to staff.
Oh, okay. Well, then send it to organizers, and then I will forward it to the audience.
Thank you. Okay, so did you get that?
I did.
Okay, so this is like live, right? So you can click on it too and send it out to the audience and have them click on it. And this should be your access to exactly what I just put on the screen here. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to build out some other things in here and add some assignments. This will be quite an interesting test. So you can see I'm just adding some points to the map, and nothing meaningful at this point. They're just dots on a map, but we've got some information underneath them. Did it open up for you, Jessica, when you clicked on it?
It did, and it took me to the ArcGIS website, and it says that I need to either have a subscription or create a public account.
Really? It didn't let you in with a public, huh?
Nope.
Okay, let me try one more thing. I'll try that one. Oh, I absolutely know why. My fault. One moment. So we're doing this live, so I actually just figured out. I think I know what it was here. So the layers inside on that feature layer that I just created are probably not shared. So the map is shared publicly, but the data is not. I can make a how-to on this. Give me 1 second, and you can refresh your browser. So my search for Jon, if you look right here, is not shared. I need to make the data as well as the map public. My bad. Can you refresh your browser?
It's working on it.
And everyone else playing along, go ahead and refresh your browser.
All right, that worked.
Okay, so you've now got what you're looking at on your screen is right here. If I go ahead and add some more information to this, so I'm just going to move over to the side, click Edit. I'm just going to draw a big red square over here, just because it's going to be easy to discern that I've changed the map. I'm going to close and save. Now, if you just move the zoom toggle on your map, you should see that square show up.
Yep, that worked great.
So what we've now got is a live interactive search map. Obviously, we're not putting anything informative on this map, but this is just a proof of concept on how we could really quickly start to put together from multiple locations a search based upon different criteria. So something I'm going to task myself with is taking some of the MapSAR data layers that we've got and add those online here to make it that easy to create a quick search. So we've got 5 minutes left, and if you want to open that one up for questions, I can answer questions about this for the next 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay, if anybody has any questions on this, type them in your chat/questions section, and we can get to them. So far, there are not any.
Well, either means didn't work or okay.
Okay, we're going to assume that it works perfectly then.
Okay, well, it's just a proof of concept, and it was a try it live, so there we go. But the link is up. I'll leave it up, and if you have that link, you can just go ahead and start playing with it.
Sounds good.
So you should actually be able to click the edit button and add data to this. So I'll leave this up, and people can play.
That sounds great. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so let me switch this back over to my screen, and please feel free to add questions if you do have them while we're wrapping this up. All right, if you have further questions that we don't get to today, you can email Jon, and his email address is shown on the screen. The MRA is hosting webinar series, or hosts this webinars in this series very frequently, so keep an eye on the MRA and PMI websites for future dates and topics, and those websites are shown on the screen. And you can also follow both the MRA and PMI on Facebook and Twitter and stay up to date that way. So we still don't have any questions, so we'll go ahead and end it, and thank you everybody for attending. We hope that it was informative, and thank you, Jon, for presenting this.
Absolutely.
Have a great day, everyone.